we might have lost our way in like what's important on a wedding day. Like these are two people that are getting married that's what the day is about.
Right.
And they only have their people around them for like everyone's like traveled in to be around them. This is a very specific time in their life that will never happen again.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a little bit sad that it has kind of shifted in a way that it's become more about a shot list and social media.
Welcome to Shoot the Veil, a mobile app made by wedding photographers for wedding photographers to help inspire you to create and equip you to grow. I'm Sam.
And I'm Donnie. And this podcast is about wedding photography as an art and as a business.
What's up, Shoot the Veil? Welcome back to another episode. Today we have Adalenne Hatcher. Adalenne, nice to have you here. We're
Thank
super
you for
pumped.
having me.
Welcome.
Yeah, Adalenne is the owner of Cine Garden, and they produce some of the coolest wedding films I've ever seen. I remember probably 2 or 3 years ago, my buddy and I were just scrolling through YouTube and found her channel and just literally watched like 5 videos. We were just obsessed. Like, your work is so good. The way you tell stories is so genuine. And I mean, everything from your cinematography skills, your storytelling skills makes for really cool wedding videos.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for hopping on.
Yeah.
We're so excited to have
I'm
you here.
glad to be here.
And there's a lot of photographers who are like, wait, I thought Shoot the Veil was photography, but no, we're anybody shooting the veil. So
Anybody shooting the veil, anybody shooting weddings.
But I think it's cool that a lot of photographers are going to listen in on a videographer's thoughts on weddings today, because we are primarily for photographers, and a lot of photographers are listening. There's a lot to learn when you get in the head of a storyteller who uses 24 frames a second
to tell a story.
Yeah.
And I mean, even in my personal business, I do photo, but I also do video.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a whole nother world involved in the wedding industry when you take a step back and you're like, there's so much more to what your camera can do, and you can tell a story so much better with video. And so I think there's a lot of people that own the photo video companies too, or are looking to do that, because that was what took my business to the next step, was learning how to do video and offering that as, like its own thing, a one-stop shop. So
Can I ask you to unpack for us as we get started? So you have a camera that does both. Why don't you do photography also? Let's just let you start there.
Well, technically, I shoot on the FX3, which kind of sucks for photo, but
that's what we're shooting with today. So we totally understand what you mean.
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I think with photo, I've tried shooting photo, and it's not that I don't love the medium of photo and like what it's capable of, but I think specifically when it comes to shooting weddings, when I have shot photo, I just feel a lot of pressure, and it inhibits me from being able to, or prohibits me from being able to actually pay attention to things that are happening around me. And I'm more focused on, I have to get these certain shots, and the day is structured around these certain shots, and I have to make sure I get them. If I miss something, it's not going to be good. And that like fear is ringing in the back of my head like the whole day, of like, I'm going to miss something. And of course you run that same risk, I guess, with video. But I've found in the way that I have built my business and like kind of niched down the type of art that I do, I am simply focusing on what is happening around me. And I'm not really trying to like direct too much of what happens in the day. And being able to like take that step back and like leave room for things to happen and just watch them unfold and document them in a very sincere and honest way is really fulfilling for me. And so yeah, that in a nutshell, that's why video over photo for me.
That's a great answer. There's so many ways I want to take that. Before we go there, I want to hear a little more of your backstory. How did you get here? What was like your first camera? What were you doing to get you to this point? Tell me the story of Adellenne's creative career.
Okay, well, it started a really long time ago. Growing up, probably age 5, my parents had some sort of handheld video device.
Like
I don't
VHS
know what
thing.
it was.
Yeah.
VHS
Same here.
tapes for sure. It was like one of those ones that had the converter. So it was like small tapes and you'd like put it in a VHS tape.
VHS-C. We had that.
Yeah.
Totally had that.
So I remember me and my sister used to just make silly videos with that. And then my sister's 4.5 years older than me. And she got this camera for Christmas. It was this little blue digicam thing. And it was actually sold by American Girl. Like the American Girl dolls.
Okay.
Yeah.
They sold it and it like came with an editing software. And
That's what's up. Way to go, American.
That was actually
Girl doll.
Sam's first camera as well. It's so funny.
No, he's playing with me. Oh my gosh.
So she got that camera and she used it for a while, and then she later got like just a regular like digital camera that took pictures too, and she gave me that. And so I started messing around and making videos with that, and she started getting into YouTube, and this was like the very beginning era of YouTube. And she started posting videos, and she started garnering a little bit of like a following. And
Really?
at the time she was probably like, I don't know, 14 or something. And so I watched her do that, and I was like, well, I want to do that. But I'm like 9 or 10 at the time.
Yeah.
So I make a YouTube account, but you're supposed to be 13.
Oh yeah.
That's
Yep.
like,
I was
so-
been there, done that. Yep.
And so I started posting YouTube videos that were absolutely atrocious, ridiculous. Like there's one out there. If you search hard enough, you'll find it.
Oh, me too.
And it is mortifying. But anyway, I started doing that, and I built a little bit of a following. I had probably like 10,000 subscribers or
Wait,
something.
what?
Yeah.
Well, you
and
said
at
a
the
little bit
time-
of a
That's
following. I was
crazy.
like 20 subscribers.
At
You
the
had
time,
10,000?
10,000 at the like era that
Yeah.
YouTube was in,
that
that
was
was
like
like
all of
actually
them.
crazy.
It's like all of them.
That it really was crazy. And then I ended up, once I got to like, I think when I was 15 or 16, kids at school started to like find out about my YouTube channel and started like pulling it up on the projector at school and like just like really embarrassing me. And you know, it probably wasn't their intention to like make me, they weren't trying to like bully me or anything.
Yeah.
It was just like look at what she does.
Yeah.
But I was mortified because I'm, you know, like 15.
Yeah.
And so I ended up deleting that channel, which I regret so much, because even if I had stopped posting then and like went back to it later,
You had still had 10,000 subscribers
I
waiting for your
mean-
next video.
it could have, at the time, YouTube wasn't like people's career, but like now it is. It could have been for me. And my sister did the same thing. She ended up deleting her channel later on.
Wow.
And she had like,
So did I.
she
I'll put
had
it
like
that way.
20 something thousand subscribers.
Oh my gosh.
She literally got recognized at the Delta Fair one time, and a little girl asked for her autograph.
No way.
Y'all were influencers before that was even a job.
Holy crap. That is so cool. Well,
Okay.
I'm
We
not
should
gonna-
start this whole podcast over. Today we have mega influencer.
Oh my
But
goodness.
so that's where it began. It was just a fun hobby for me. And
So you've always been good at it though, because you get a 10,000 subscribers. Wow.
yeah, I was making, this is how I built my following. I was making like lip syncing music videos.
Wow. Well, I mean, we're still doing it in TikTok. So
Yeah.
what can I say? You were there before Musically and TikTok.
Dude, now that I think about it, I'd never even thought about that. But like,
Yeah.
that's still a thing that teenagers do.
100%.
Totally.
Why do we do that?
Don't know.
It's a really interesting thing.
It's
You're
kind of
performing,
weird.
but you didn't have to create it or
Yeah.
invent it.
That is so
But what I'll say is what I like recognized as I got older. I think the reason why I liked doing that specific type of like content was I have always been like so emotionally moved by music, and I feel like I've always been able to visualize things to music, which really it makes sense now doing like wedding films, because music is like just such a huge part of the process.
Right.
At least for me, maybe not for everybody, but definitely for me. I spend countless hours trying to find the right music. So it kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That
But-
so hits home. Like,
Yeah.
that was the exact same case for me. Like, it's so funny. You literally say you like deleted your YouTube channel. So did I. Like, I remember like making my YouTube videos and like turning, I don't know how old I was, like, actually, I didn't want anybody to see any of this. And I had so much like just pure innocent joy tied to it.
Yeah.
But looking back, well, I can't have that represent me, deleting it. But the music was the driving factor for me. So I'd sit there and put in my earbuds and just dream of a video I can make.
Wow.
And I know plenty of people like that are in this, line of work. So, I mean, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Music bed, is that what you're using? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can
Only
be on
music
there
bed.
for hours.
Yeah.
Hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where my like love of video began.
Hey guys, really quickly want to interrupt the podcast to invite you guys to be a sponsor. And that's a lot easier than it sounds. If there's someone you think that could benefit from this podcast, send it their way. That's all that we could ask for. You're awesome. Now back to the podcast.
Now, do you want me to get into like just how I got to the point where I like
Yeah.
started a business?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's,
Okay.
let's get into that.
Okay. So I continued to stick with making videos for fun all throughout high school and college. I started posting again when I was like 17. And when I was in college, I went to Mississippi College for a little while, and then I later transferred to Mississippi State. But while I was at MC, it's so funny how people find out that you can do video and they're like, hey, would you be interested in doing this? And so I ended up getting a job for the campus blog, and I started doing videos for them. And then I get a random text one day from a girl who is local here that shot wedding videos. And at the time, there were not very many wedding videographers in the area. Like, wedding videography was still very much new. Like, I mean, in terms of like highlight films,
Right.
Yeah.
And so, but I had seen wedding films and thought, man, that'd be kind of cool to make those, but never knew how you get someone to hire you to shoot their wedding when you've never done it before.
Yeah.
And so she reached out to me and asked if I'd be interested in second shooting for her. And so I did. And I shot a few weddings with her, and I thought, I think I could do this. Like, it's not that hard. And so I made a Facebook page. I made a business name, which is Super Cringe. Not
What
the
was
one
it?
I have now.
What was it?
Super cringe?
It was Super Cringe.
Super cringe.
Yeah.
That's not the name of it. That's
No.
the name of it?
No.
Yeah, that's the adjective.
Oh, okay. So thrown off.
I called it Super Cringe.
Oh, I was like,
Seems
you
so
named
ironic.
your wedding business
Okay, well-
Super Cringe.
No, the name of it is Cringe.
What was it?
We all
What
have
was
those.
it?
Forever Moments Videography.
Forever Moments.
There's somebody listening to that with that username on Instagram. And now
I'm
they're
so
hurt.
sorry.
They're so hurt.
You should probably rebrand.
Hold
No,
on.
I'm just kidding.
Did you, I just need to ask, did you capture moments?
No way.
So that I started that, and I shot my first wedding on my own for a girl who I graduated high school with, edited it as soon as I got home, stayed up all night editing it, and posted it the next day, and she absolutely loved it. And
Photographer's like, what the heck?
the
Slow
rest
down,
is
girl.
history.
Girl. Oh, that's so amazing though.
So
You
overnight.
literally overnight edited that?
Yeah.
Wow.
I cannot. That's not even.
Is that
doable.
possible
No,
nowadays?
No.
No. That's
Impossible.
impressive.
But yeah, that was in 2015.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So it's
So
been 9
fast
years.
forward 9 years, yeah, almost 10 years. What is Cine Garden doing now?
So now I have really kind of niched things down to where my goal each year, as of last year basically, is to do 10 to 15 weddings a year.
Yeah.
For a premium price. And I specifically try to work with clients that are looking for the whole story. So I do something called story sessions, which is like a pre-wedding shoot that I do that's very casual. It's very intimate and just gives the couple space to share their whole story, like the history of their relationship and what made them fall in love with each other. And yeah, I travel. Most of my weddings aren't even local anymore.
Yeah. That's such a cool move. One reason I love your work is specifically because of your story sessions. because you're putting in time and effort and thought and caring for these couples more than I see regularly.
Yeah.
And
Why has no one has done that as like a major thing? Not no one, but it's not common.
It's not common.
But every photographer does an engagement session.
Right.
But why doesn't every videographer do a story session? Like it just makes so much sense.
I think we get into the rut of what everyone else is doing. And I think it's one of those things like, okay, let me build a business, and intentionally or not, you're unconsciously building it off of what you've seen your competitors do.
Yeah. Well, and you show up on the wedding day, and that's the day the stuff's happening. So where did it come from? Because this is a really big deal. And there's a lot of photographers who are going to hear this and think, wait, I kind of want to do video now. After I heard what you do, I'm like, yeah, that's amazing. I want to do that too.
Right.
So how did it get started, the story session? What was your first one, and how did you start that?
So I did not invent story sessions. I, at the beginning of 2022, I did a mentorship with Multiply Media, Sarah and Boomer. Shout out to them. They're really awesome.
Yeah.
And I had seen that they were doing these shoots with their couples before wedding day. And I had seen like people do shoots with couples, but they weren't actually sitting down and talking. It would just be footage of the couples interacting together,
More B-roll.
you know?
Right.
But they were actually getting the couple to like talk to each other. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. I want to start incorporating that. And it was something that years prior I had tried to incorporate something. I called them love stories. And so I guess I had the idea to do something like that for a really long time, but I did not know how to get couples. I didn't know how to win them over on it.
Yeah.
Like they did not want to pay for an extra add-on. They didn't see the value in it. I didn't have an example to show them. There was no way to sell them on it when there was nothing to sell. Like it was just me trying to communicate to them what I wanted to do, but even I didn't really know how to do it. So I probably wasn't communicating it well.
We've all been there. What did you have to? Well, how did you get that first one? Did you realizing, okay, I can't sell something if I don't have a portfolio to show off?
Yeah.
Did you just? I mean, like, what was that?
So, I did the mentorship session with Sarah and Boomer, and they were like, I asked them, I was like, how do I start doing this? How do I win couples over on this? And they were like, if this is something you really want, like just make it who you are, make it what you do. And then it's not a question, like when someone approaches you, they know that's your brand. Like you tell stories and they're hiring you for that, like that experience specifically. And so they encourage us to just put it in our package. Like,
so don't make it an
everyone gets a
upsell.
story.
Don't make it an
No.
add-on, and just this is what you get when you book Cine Garden.
Like it's part of the experience. It's in every package. It's what you do.
Yeah.
And they said if there's any couples that you currently have booked that you think would be comfortable doing one, just offer to do it for free before their wedding so that you can start building a portfolio.
Yeah.
And so that's what we did. We started texting some of our couples that we had booked that we thought would be outgoing enough and like open enough to do it. And sure enough, they were like, yeah, like that's really cool that you want to do that for us for free. What the heck?
Yeah.
And so we did that, and it was just snowball from there because once we started incorporating that in our films, people were like, whoa, like your films are different. And that really is the like, it's not just that this story session by itself makes your films different than everyone else's, but it makes the wedding day like different. It makes your relationship with the couples different.
Yeah.
It makes the experience from like start to finish completely different. So it definitely completely shifted our business in every way.
Would you describe this for someone who's never seen it? Would you describe what a story session is? And then I want to get in and start unpacking the thing you just said about the day of.
Yeah. So a story session is essentially, it can look whatever way a couple wants it to look. So if they want to do a specific activity that they like to do together, like play pickleball or go on a walk at their favorite park with their dogs, like a lot of our couples will do Shelby Farms with their dogs, like because that's what they do. Like that's we encourage them to structure your story session in a way that's like you.
Yeah.
We want it to be comfortable. We want it to be something you do on a normal basis. And
what's the craziest one that somebody says, you know what, we always what?
Go to Rayford's.
Yeah.
I don't know, honestly. We haven't had a lot of like really crazy ones, but honestly, a lot of videographers that I follow, they've had couples do like super adventurous stuff, you know?
Really? Yeah. Like,
Like,
I've
especially-
seen some like go on a whole like a pre-honeymoon.
Yes.
And film it. Like
I wish
Justin
one of my
Porter
couples would take
Media.
me on a pre-honeymoon.
Dude, right? I'll come. Whatever. Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, I can't think of any on the spot. I'll see if something pops in my head later. I'll mention it.
Yeah.
But so for example, let's say they're like, okay, we're gonna go to our favorite park. We're gonna bring our dogs and walk them. So we'll of course get B-roll of them interacting, walking their dogs, doing whatever they're doing. But usually the first thing that I do is I sit them down somewhere, whether it be on a bench, on a blanket, whatever is comfortable for them. If it's in their home, like sit on the couch.
Yeah.
And it's really just, it's not an interview. And so I kind of brief them beforehand. I'm like, look, this is a conversation between the two of you. And I know it's hard because there's cameras on you to feel like it's just you two, but like we oftentimes will set the cameras up and give them a prompt. And if it's outside, like we'll go away and just let them talk. And then it's like, when you're done talking, just let us know.
Wow.
Ooh, that's so good.
And when the nerves and the pressure is off, when you like take that pressure off, something really magical can happen. So you just have to like give it space and not direct too much. And
That's
just
amazing.
keep it simple prompts. Like think about what's the history of the relationship.
Okay.
First impressions, how did you meet? Like who introduced you? And it's very much a general prompt. And I give them examples of how to expand on it, and then I step away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That
then-
takes a lot of intention on your part.
It does.
Yeah, and on top of that, we go into it prepared. We do send like a questionnaire that helps give us some idea of what their story is, so that
good.
if they don't tap on something that we would like them to, like I can be like, hey,
That's exactly what I was wondering about, is because even in the photo world, if I have like a similar prompt, none are as detailed as that. And maybe I have in my mind an outcome that I already envision. It's hard to get there, right? And so you kind of have to throw away that expectation, but you as a videographer and a storyteller also know that you need some bits of story. Is it, I'm trying to figure out the way to structure this question, but what are some ways that help you? Like obviously you're leaving the prompts up to them, and you kind of see where that conversation goes. Is there like a within that questionnaire like some directions of what's going to happen, or do they see a wedding video and they're like, oh, okay, so this is how it goes, or like what is that? How do you get there?
honestly, when we do our consultation calls, I brief them on what the story session is.
Yeah.
But I feel like most of our couples now that reach out to us have an idea of what it is, just because all of our films incorporate them.
Yeah.
Right.
And so it doesn't feel like now where we're at now that couples ever feel like, wait, I didn't expect that we were going to have to do this. Like,
Right.
They're not caught off guard.
Because they booked
seem-
you because of it.
Yeah.
Because you're putting in the extra hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And no, the questionnaire doesn't have anything like directions on what exactly is going to happen. It's really just questions about their story, their
Yeah.
relationship, their interests, and it's pretty nitty gritty, like even just little things that don't necessarily matter to their story, because the more that you can find out about your couple, the more that you can serve them better. And so that's like, that looks like knowing what their favorite snacks are, so that like we've shown up to story sessions with their favorite snacks.
Yeah.
Because just that like little extra step of intention is like, that will blow a couple's mind. They're
Yeah.
like, what? You
And it
remembered
speaks to
that?
them like, you really know me. Like, you really know me. You know I like moon pies and root beer or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, you know me. So I'm going to
So-
share more. I'm going to be vulnerable.
Oh man, that just keeps giving.
That's great.
That's so good.
There's just so many little things that you can do, and it doesn't have to be extravagant, but
Right.
just little things I think go a really long way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, there's so much I want to dive into in the after the pod about all of that stuff.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna be fun. I'm gonna have to make sure I don't keep you here for too long, but showing just that little bit of intention, one, will make them so much more comfortable with you on the wedding day, because let's face it, how many times do wedding videographers, I can say this because I'm one, show up and like look at your contract to make sure what's the groom's name again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that was us for the first 6 years.
Yeah, right. And it's not fulfilling. Did you find that like almost exhausting, exasperating to be like, ugh, we're not connecting? We had a great conversation. I keep bringing this podcast up, and it's so good, with Miles Whitboyer, and he said basically one reason why you feel like you can't connect with your couples is because you're not putting in the work. Paraphrasing again, but basically, if you aren't caring for your couples, why should they care for you?
Yeah.
And so you have to be the one to be intentional, and then maybe they'll be more intentional with you on their wedding day because they value how you think, they value how you tell a story too. And just the moon pies and root beer can make that bridge a reality.
Totally.
Yeah.
And I think another thing, this is like a total other like rabbit trail that we could go on, but I think even dropping little pieces of yourself and like your personal life into just onto your Instagram here and there. It doesn't have to be all the time.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm a very open and vulnerable person about like what's going on in my life. And so I like to like just drop little pieces of myself onto my online presence. So like I feel like my clients, they know what's going on in my life, and they'll like check in on me and stuff.
Right.
That's crazy.
Isn't that awesome?
It's like the coolest thing ever to feel like your clients, they're not just, they didn't just choose you for you to perform a service, but like they actually are connecting with you as a human being. That's the coolest thing ever.
I started doing that, and interactions went sky high. Like just sharing a post of my daughter sitting in my lap while I edit or something like that. Oh, everybody loves it, and it's always a great conversation starter on the day of. And people really connect with personal brands.
Yeah.
And we can go into like the future of wedding photography and videography here in a minute, but with personal brands, people are much more willing to trust you. And you like it or not, that's just how it is nowadays. And so getting to see Adalenne behind the scenes editing or cleaning the house or throwing the ball for the dog, whatever it is, they love that. And it's great to share.
I'm noticing something as you're talking. There aren't any other industries where it makes, except maybe psychology, where it makes as much sense for you to ask such deep questions about someone's story.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of weird if the florist digs into like, what's your favorite snack? And like, where did y'all meet? Tell me about the night. How did you feel when you first looked at her? Like, that's stuff we can ask, and it makes sense. So that's all cool. It's a cool observation. But what's amazing is thinking about how known these people feel, and we need to recognize that as artists, as people who we're handling souls. Like these people feel really connected to us just because we're asking these type of questions and giving them room to be known that deeply is a really big deal. We should carry that with honor. I think photographers and videographers both should be aware of that weight and honor that, and give it back to the client, because we could take it for granted.
In an art form, right?
In an art form, but also in a real relationship. And so that speaks to having the right clients that get that are open to that.
Yeah.
So and that gets to what you were saying. People like check in on it. They actually feel like they're your friend.
Yes.
And they are.
They are.
So I'm literally hanging out with what you can consider my clients tonight. I don't think of them like that. They're my friends.
Yeah.
But like we're all going to Topgolf and having just a double date because we're all friends.
Wow.
So
it's really cool.
Fun.
And it's not, like you have to be realistic. Not every couple is going to feel 100% like, yeah, I can hang out with these people like after working together. But I mean, for me now, with where my brand is now, I feel like most of my clients, like I would say 85%, I would 100% like hang out with them.
Right.
And all of them are thinking, I'm in that 85.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. Okay. We've had so much great conversation about this. I want to pick your brain a little bit about the wedding industry, what you like, what you don't like, what you want to see more of as, wedding videographer. And what you refer to yourself as a cinematographer or videographer. Let's end that debate right now.
Oh, this is a big question.
This is.
I like to say filmmaker.
Okay.
Oh.
She could.
The third option.
Here's my thing. I feel like
She just wrote another
videographer-
box under that one.
Videographer feels too like corporate to me. Cinematographer feels kind of pretentious to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I will say, I think on our website it says cinematography somewhere.
But filmmaker, that's good.
But like I like filmmaker because like that's what I'm doing. Like I'm not just capturing the day. I'm capturing the day in order to make a film that isn't just like a highlight reel.
Right.
Like it's a
right.
story.
And a
Yeah.
filmmaker kind of entails the whole process.
Yeah.
Like filmmaker, you could be an editor, you could be a cinematographer, you could be a videographer, you could be a director, whatever you want to be. You're in charge of making a film. So that's the word I'm going to use now.
Okay.
The
As a filmmaker.
As a filmmaker. Way cooler. Okay. I like that.
Hey guys, just to interrupt the show real quick, I just want to invite you to Shoot the Veil. As we've been putting this together, we are talking with some of the world's best photographers. And here's one thing that we're learning across the board. You don't know what you don't know. Even some of the best in the business are still learning new things, and they're learning from each other. And so we are so excited that Shoot the Veil is bringing all of that together. So some of the best minds in the business, some of the most creative people, we're bringing their rich knowledge and their poses all together in this app. And we're all there to help each other grow amazing businesses. So if you're not in, jump in, go check it out. Now back to the show.
Anyways, going back into that question, I want to know really quick, you don't have to dive deep into this. What are some things that you want to see evaporate from the wedding industry?
How specific are we getting?
You know
know
what?
what?
Get as specific as you want.
Yeah.
It's hard because I don't want to, I don't know, step on anyone's toes or make anyone feel
Step on my
any
foot.
certain way.
go into it. We want to. I think more people will agree with you rather than disagree. And oh my gosh, well, we had a little conversation about this, and I basically want you to get into that. Wedding days are turning into photo shoots.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a serious thing.
Yeah. And it's hard because I think that part of that is that a side of that is that there's expectations from the couple because of what like social media and Pinterest and all of that has created expectations for clients that they come at you wanting all of these certain things. But then you have to balance that with, okay, well, I don't want your entire day to feel like it's a list of photos that we have to get. And like, we have to get all these things and you can't enjoy your day. And so, yeah, I think that one of the number one things for me that I wish would change about wedding days and like the industry is just the focus on it being an extravagant event that must be captured in all of these certain ways. All of these shots must be collected. And I don't know. I just think we as vendors are stretched a lot of different ways trying to serve not only our clients and wanting them to have a great experience and enjoy their wedding day, but also like, okay, well, I have to think about my portfolio. I have to think, well, I want to serve these other vendors in this certain way. And like the planner's putting this type of pressure on me because she wants an empty room shot with the candles lit. But I'm also like cocktail hours happening. I have to capture that. Like, it's like you're stretched 1,000 different ways.
That is a very specific moment that everyone listening relates to.
I just lived that this week.
Yeah.
And you want to serve everyone. Like,
right.
It's not like you don't want that. But I think we might have lost our way in like what's important on a wedding day. Like, these are two people that are getting married that's what the day is about.
Right.
And they only have their people around them for like everyone's like traveled in to be around them. This is a very specific time in their life that will never happen again.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a little bit sad that it has kind of shifted in a way that it's become more about a shot list and social media than it has about like these are people and like these are memories.
Do you see that depriving the actual story of their love and the wedding?
Yeah, sometimes for
Yeah.
sure.
So for the real stuff, like there are brides who are saying, but I need this and this and this and this. And they want, like, part of what they're paying for is the ability to put that on social media, to show it to the world, and not in a braggy look at me way, but in a look at me way. Like my wedding day is the one day out of the whole universe that is the day she should be spotlighted, and it's appropriate to have a shot list and all those things. But I want to flip it back to what you're saying. So let's acknowledge that that's real.
Yeah.
But then as professionals, maybe it's our role to guide them back to the significance of the day, that it's not a photo shoot. And we can do both. We can do the things they're asking for because there's social pressure. And there's also organizational pressure and just leadership. We need to make sure the day goes smoothly.
Yeah.
We can't take 4 hours for a first look by the lake because it just felt nice out there. Like there's actually people waiting. So there's some organization, there's some leadership. But what I'm hearing, and I think I'm sensing that really good photographer and videographers, we're the only ones who can make sure they actually get moments throughout that craziness. Because the wedding day could be chaotic. There's no one else in that whole day in their life that can orchestrate real moments for them.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
That may be the first time I've actually said that sentence, but that's a huge weight.
Yeah.
We should wear that.
100%.
Yeah.
That's good.
And I think, like you said, we carry a responsibility to like almost help manage their expectations and like tell them the expectations they should have, like based on our experience, rather than them just relying solely on what they're seeing on social media. Because, gosh, like social media is, I don't know. It's just like a double-edged sword. Like it's great because we have endless ideas and like we get to share all these things with each other, but it creates expectations that are like insane for people.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. The comparison game.
Yeah.
Can eat you alive.
Yeah.
Really fast.
Do you find yourself managing that a lot with your couples? What they want to do versus let's tell this one story?
I don't know. I feel like what I have found is that the couples that I'm in contact with directly versus communicating through a planner, it's different. I feel like I want to be careful what I say because there's no hate on like wedding planners. I've worked with some amazing wedding planners that like the communication is not an issue at all. And like the clients that they've connected me with are ideal clients.
Right. Right.
But I mean, there have been instances where I feel like it's kind of like I don't know.
There's a middleman that's preventing a lot of connection.
Yes.
Yes.
And then I show up on wedding day and I'm like, ooh, like their expectations do not line up with like, it's not
reality,
the picture I would have painted for them if like I had been in contact with them directly,
right.
you know?
Yeah.
But I do think that the people that reach out to me directly and that I'm able to really build a great like rapport with, I feel like it's not that I don't know. I don't know how I'm like managing their expectations, but I feel like they wouldn't want to work with me if they were the type of people that wanted the perfect day, no hair is out of place.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. You know, I see that. I mean, it's like it goes back to why you're here. Oh, I love your work. It's because it felt real. I'm crying with your couples.
Yeah.
I'm not going to cry with somebody who has to, slick back their hair every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's because this is a real person, like with a real love story that's not copy paste. And
everyone has that real story, but it doesn't always get brought through.
Exactly. And so going back, I think that's what your clients are coming to you for. And I don't know, maybe that's why you don't have to manage their expectations, because you are their expectation. What you produce and the kind of content you're making is what they originally wanted, and they trust you.
Here's what I'll say about that. I think the reason that is a reality is because instead of what I used to do was email back and forth with the client, maybe call, maybe do a phone call.
Right.
That was it. And when I started doing face-to-face Zoom calls, sometimes even before sending a pricing guide,
Yeah.
and even just the way that I do those Zoom calls where we're not even really talking about what your wedding film is going to be like, or even the services I provide. It's more of like, I'm getting to know you. I don't know. I think when you make that intention to build a relationship and get to know them as people, like you were saying before, they trust you, and that's managing expectations in itself, because it's like they trust you so much that they're like, I just want what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that such a good feeling?
Yeah.
So freeing.
And then when the budget question does happen, they're like, yeah, maybe I could lose half the flowers. I'd rather have you.
Seriously.
That happens.
So I shot a wedding a few weekends ago that literally, like, they cut so many things from their wedding to have us, and they told us when we were there, like, you are our splurge. Like, we just had to have you. And
That's so cool.
What
You
an
were our
honor. I'm like,
splurge.
oh my gosh. And I never
I'm gonna tell
expect
my wife
that, you know?
Right.
Like, you never expect that. You want them to have all the beautiful flowers that they could want. You want them to have all these things. But when you know that you're that valued and that they care more about their memories than they do about how perfect the event looks, like, gosh, that feels so good. That's why I do what I do. Like, I want them to care more about the memories.
Yeah.
So you're to this point where you're doing 10 to 15 weddings a year. Was there a point where you were doing more than that and it wasn't as fulfilling for you?
It's not that it wasn't as fulfilling.
Sure.
But I was just exhausted.
Okay.
And like, you can only do that for so long if you are like spending as much time on the editing as I do.
Yeah.
And I could definitely outsource. And it's definitely something I've considered, but I would have to like be hands-on, like training an editor. I wouldn't just be like, I'm going to send this off to like some editing company, you know? And I've never taken the time to do that. I think maybe later on, depending on how much I'm charging, I could see myself training an editor. But yeah, trying to do it all yourself, wearing all the hats and doing, for me, even 20 weddings a year was like,
yeah,
I feel like I didn't have a life.
Right. Oh, I think a lot of people can relate to that. And there's a move that you made. You had the opportunity. We talked about this on our intro call a couple weeks ago, where you could have been like, okay, I can do more weddings, honestly, probably less quality.
Yeah.
And make X amount of dollars a year, and I can pay my bills, and I can still have a creative outlet, or I can do less weddings for more money and be more intentional with each client and have a life. And I mean, that's a great move. I mean, have you found that to be like fulfilling in your personal life?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so much better. I feel like I'm just more present in my life, and I spend more time with my friends and family, and that, like, I'm sure we all have to balance that. No matter what you do, like, you have to find a balance. And I could even now I could be, with the extra time I have, spending it trying to grow my Instagram more, because gosh, that's a full-time job in itself.
It is.
But I don't know, just creating those boundaries in my life with one of them being taking on less weddings, I just think I'm in a much, much healthier place.
In the after the pod, for members, they can jump in. We're definitely going to talk about how that actually makes sense financially.
Yeah.
And how you begin to pivot away from the rise and the quantity of weddings. Like, do you just suddenly, now I'm double the price and that solves it? Or like, you don't have to dig into it now, but that's a really hot topic to figure out. It's so huge.
Yeah.
100%. Because that's a bridge that not many people understand or know how to navigate or go over. So we can talk about that. Super, super exciting. All right. What is one piece of advice you would have given your younger self starting out?
In terms of wedding videography.
In terms of wedding videography.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, not like
We have something creative
dating
out
How
or-
deep are we going
Yeah.
here right now?
Don't do all that.
Don't
meth.
date that ex-boyfriend or whatever. Yeah.
I think just to be true, like to yourself and what truly fulfills you and makes you happy. And, you know, back then starting out, social media wasn't what it is now. But I think that I definitely allowed like the chase of validation to steal my joy for a really long time, like
Wow.
in the previous couple of years. And comparison was like eating me alive for real. So I think just being true and saying no to the things that aren't true to me, saying yes to the things that are, but maybe are kind of scary, such as
Wow.
taking less weddings. Like that's part of it.
Was part of your validation the quantity of weddings? Was that a moniker
think
of
so.
success?
Yeah.
And I think doing destination weddings and like just doing types of work that I was seeing other people do, I just like thought if I reach that, I'll be happy and fulfilled and I'll feel like I've made it.
Wow.
But the bar always raises. You reach one thing and you're like, well, this other person's doing this, so now I gotta do that.
That's really good.
That's really good
Nice.
life advice.
Yes, just
It's not,
like
it doesn't
letting
even,
go
that
of
doesn't
that.
even apply to just weddings. I mean, that's everything.
Yeah.
There's always going to be more things to chase. And if you're not happy now, you probably won't be happy then.
Yep.
And happiness and fulfillment isn't something that's achieved by more.
Yeah.
It's something that it's in your heart, relationship with God, relationship with your family, whatever that is. And from there, when you establish that and saying, like you said, true to yourself, is when healthy growth begins.
100%.
That's so good. Adalenne, thank you so much for being here, taking time out of your day to come and record with us. This is super exciting. To all the listeners, we're going to have an after pod right after this. Highly recommend you hop on the app and go check it out. We're going to dive deep into numbers and marketing and story sessions and all this stuff. Before we do that, make sure you go follow Cine Garden on Instagram and check out some of our content. Super pumped. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This is fun.
This is
Good.
fun. We'll see you on the after the pod.